And I think that we put too much pressure on ourselves to know the end of where we're going to end up.
Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. Discover yourself, break out of mediocrity, and become the mom you've always aspired to be. Here's your host, Kirsten Tyrell.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Marvelous Moms Club. This is so exciting. I feel like a fish out of water, somebody learning how to ride a bike again. I haven't done this in such a long time, but there is no better person that I could imagine for getting me back in the saddle than Michelle Gifford. So welcome to my podcast, Michelle.
Hey. Glad to be here.
This was supposed to happen, like a year ago? I mean, who's counting,
probably.
But a very long time ago. So I've been a guest on your podcast, and we had so much fun. I remember laughing like the whole time to the point where I was like, I hope I didn't laugh too much. Like, I hope that there was usable
and that
content.
was our first meeting.
I know.
It was
awesome. So it's just dumb that I didn't get you, because I remember saying like, oh, now we get to do it all over again, having you on my show. And in my head, we had already done this, but apparently we haven't. And now we are.
It's fine. And here we are. I think it's going to be worth the wait. That's just what I think.
No, I do too. Because now we're so much more a part of each other's life.
Yep.
And so
that's true.
There's going to be so many more fun things to share. So for those of you guys who don't know, a little bit of backstory on Michelle, you can find her at IamMichelleGifford.com. She's one of the hardest hustlers I know. If you're an aspiring mompreneur, you have ideas, you want to start a blog, you really want to venture into the world of online business and make money from home, she's your girl. And she's also a member of my Maskcara team. And she's kind of like coined herself, she's like the Maskcara business girl. So she's amazing. She knows her stuff. And I just want to give you guys listening today a little bit of backstory on that, because I feel like a lot of people might have the same ambitions you have, but they have no idea where to start. And I just want to tell people that it doesn't happen overnight and that you've been working on this for like a decade, right?
Yeah, as old as my son, right? Right. I stopped working, and my husband moved us to Arizona to go to medical school, and I was pretty pregnant, like 6 months, and I had to do something. So you can time it, and my son's 11. What?
Oh my gosh! So more than a decade. That's crazy.
More than a decade.
Okay,
exactly
so
right.
Back to the kids. You have 5 kids.
I have 5 kids, 11, 8, almost 7, 4, and 2. Is that nuts?
And they are so cute. That's so nuts. Like, I have 3, and I don't understand how at 3 you were like, oh, you know what? Let's just add 2 more people to the mix. Like, because this isn't quite enough people.
Yes, I say add to the chaos whenever possible. So I think we're getting a puppy soon. So that feels right.
Oh my gosh. Because that feels like, I mean, at this point you would be having another child, but since you're done with that, you're going to just add a puppy, right?
Yeah. It's my husband's doing it. It's not my fault. I would say no.
You know what?
That'll be great.
That's the best situation to be in, because I was the one who pushed for dogs when we were first married. And this time was all him. And do you know how nice it is to be able to say, you wanted the dog? It's your dog. I'm not cleaning up the poop. I'm not doing
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So no, it's good. It's so good. It's just, why not? Add some more. Yeah. So it's good.
Add some more. So this is what I love about you. This is why you and I think, get along so well. Like, our Voxer chats are so funny, because I find myself still guarding things for the first little bit. And then I'm like, wait, I'm talking to Michelle. I can be like, she knows exactly how my brain works. I can go crazy on her. I can tell her all my ideas, and she's not going to be like, oh my gosh, you're going to get it, because you are the same. Like, it's so interesting how you started your family, and before you even had the baby, like, you knew that there was more that you needed to be doing. So you've kind of been leaning into that organized chaos, and some maybe not always organized, for the entire time that you've been a mother. And so what's it been like balancing that? Or like, have you found that it's made you a better mom than trying to kind of choose one over the other?
I think absolutely. And here's my whole thing about my life is that I know that I'm a creative person. Like, I have the ideas. I have tried to stop. I've tried to and I'm not happy because I know I have to be building and creating something for me to be happy. And it turns out I like to create businesses.
That's a great hobby if they're making money.
Yeah. So here's the thing is, I think back then, so when I first started out, I knew I was in a new place. I didn't really know anyone. I didn't have any friends. And, I hurried through school, and then right when I graduated, I worked, and then I was pregnant, and then we moved. And I think that, so I'm used to going, right? And so when I
Yeah.
stopped, I had 3 months before I had my baby, and I was like, I'm going to be miserable. Like I don't take breaks. I'm not the girl who's like, I'll just go swim all day and lay by the beach. But it was hot and I was huge. Anyway, it's just not my thing. Um, so I started with what I knew I was good at, right? I knew I could sew. And so I was like, that's something small I can start. And I wasn't the best seamstress, but I had the skills to start. And then I just started. And I remember I made little girl hats that had these big, huge flowers on them. It was awesome
I
and
remember those.
great. I kept one because I feel like you have
love
to know
it.
where you start. So,
You do.
And I remember putting them up on Etsy and selling like 6 of them the first night. And I was like, oh, this could actually work.
Well.
And that led from one thing to the other, like where I started making little girl dresses that were custom, and then that led to patterns and kits and those kinds of things. And then that led to photography and on and on and on. And I guess that is my message to the world, is that you just have to start somewhere, and it doesn't have to be the end goal. Because I would have never guessed that this is where I would end up right now,
Right.
Where I'm teaching business, I'm selling mascara. What in the world?
What
And
on earth?
I just
Where
would
did
have
that
never,
happen?
I just would have never put myself here, just because I couldn't see that far ahead. And I think that we put too much pressure on ourselves to know the end of where we're going to end up. And really, one of my sayings is just begin where you are and take the next step. And so that's what I think. That's why I love the courses that I create and things like that, is because I just am trying to make online business, because this is a whole new game, a whole new ball game that wasn't around 11 years ago when I started. And so if there's a simple way to teach people, okay, if you do this for blogging, like here's how you set it up and here's the strategy behind it, then if you just teach people that, then they can take it and run and build their own business. And so that's been really fun and exciting for me, is to help other women take what I didn't have, but has taken me 11 years to figure out, and put it in a manageable, little, like, smaller courses that aren't huge and super expensive, but just a way that is digestible. And then they can have the foundation to actually build their business online.
I love it. And I love that you've done that. Like, I think the cool thing is like, you've crunched time. Like, you're giving people the ability. Now it's here, and there's people staring at this opportunity, and they know, like, I don't know about you, but there's quite a few people who live in my area. There's just people nowadays making a living in ways they never could have before because of the internet. And so even when my husband and I started, and we look online and we're like, wait, how are people doing this? And you see 1,000,001 ideas and all these ways, and then you're overwhelmed by the information out there. And when you can break it down and just say, here's a few options, it's just that start. Like, I just remember starting with like an online boutique. It's not even the exact same as your situation, but it was just that tiny taste where you're like, oh my gosh, this works. I just made money today and I didn't even do anything, like this is actually a thing. And then it has led, like, never again, I wouldn't have imagined myself as a mascara artist either. I wouldn't have imagined myself running the business that I'm running now, but I had to start somewhere. So I just love that you give people kind of a journey and just some options to get their brains going in the right direction. People come to me and they're like, how do you come up with creative ideas all the time? And I'm like, there was once upon a time when I sat there and thought, all I need to do is invent something. And my invention was going to be like a sling. Maybe I shouldn't tell people this. Maybe I'll still invent this.
You can.
Well, it was going to be a really special sling for breastfeeding mothers, because my back always hurt so bad when I breastfed my babies. And so I just thought, if I can just invent that. But then I had no idea how to create product. I had no idea that you could manufacture things in China. And we all know, if you're listening to this podcast, you've heard my story here and there, that we started out selling on Amazon, and that has just led us, it's just crazy. Like, so I love that. I love that that's your message. Just start where you are and start doing something. And it doesn't have to be the big thing. Your big thing will change like many, many, many times. And I even know now, like you and I in 10 years are going to be in a place we never imagined either. But we had to be
Yeah,
putting in this
absolutely.
time and this work to make that happen.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest reasons people don't start is because they're scared that they're going to make a mistake. And I'm going to tell
Mm-hmm.
you, you're going to make a mistake.
But you're not going to
And
die unless you make a
well, you're not
really,
going to die.
really bad mistake.
But I do think that like if you say, okay, this like if I would have focused too much on, I don't know, my patterns or whatever when I was selling
Mm-hmm.
on Etsy, then and worried about 10 years down the road about that, then I probably wouldn't have ever
Yeah.
started. And
Yes.
so I think that's part of the thing is say, you know what? Give yourself some room to grow because you're going to, and you're going to make
Mm-hmm.
mistakes. I mean, we could have a 2-hour conversation about, well, more than that, but like, about the dumb things that I've done,
Yeah.
but that's okay. But I just think that that's part of one of the reasons that people don't start is they're like, I'm going to do this wrong. I'm like, yeah, you are.
Yep.
And it's going to be okay.
Yep. And you're going to learn so many things from doing it wrong. And then you're going to get closer and
Yeah.
closer to doing it right.
Yep.
And the funny thing is too, that people don't realize about that is I feel like all the fun is actually in the mistakes. Yeah. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's embarrassing, but like the things that people are afraid of is usually what people are thinking about them and watching them fail. And secret, people are too busy worrying about themselves to worry about what you're doing and if you're making mistakes, and they don't remember your failures. They only think about you in terms of your successes unless you do something like, a Ponzi scheme. Then people always remember you for bad things. But
Stay away from
other
that.
than that, yeah, stay away from those things. So yeah, I think that's so important that if you're listening to this now even and you've felt inspired to do something and you're just afraid to make sure you get all your ducks in a row before you do anything and that it's going to be perfect, then you're going to waste a ton of time. And it's the fun is in the adventure of learning it and stretching outside of your comfort zone and finding out what you're capable of. Because I don't know about you, but there's talents and skills I didn't even know I possessed until I started working on the ones I did know that I had. And then I was like, oh, I had no idea I was going to be a good podcaster, but it makes sense because I've always been a talker. So which led into like public speaking. I'm a great public speaker because I've learned how to speak on a podcast. So you just never know the evolution of
Yeah.
your dream and your skills. So talk to me about how you kind of balance the mom life for everybody listening. And I know I kind of already know the answer to this, but I just for everybody else. And I don't know, what's your opinion? Do you think there's a perfect balance or do you think something else?
I think balance is a silly thing to strive for. And I mean, maybe that's wrong, but,
No, I agree.
one of the things is that, I don't know, just recently, like in the last couple of weeks, I have been sick and not really known it. Like I've had an ear infection. Does that even happen to adults? Apparently it
No.
does. Okay. It does. I
Wow.
didn't know. Anyway, and so
Congratulations.
I have just been, I know, I really like to be special. So, anyway, so I didn't really realize I was sick. I mean, I was like, I just keep having headaches and my ear keeps hurting. And, but I just wasn't feeling 100%. And so like things, if we're talking about balance, got completely off balance because I had committed to all these things. I hadn't realized that I was like feeling bad because it kind of came on slow and there's no, I don't know, like, I wasn't have
Mm-hmm.
chills. I didn't have like sinus, anything like that. And so I didn't really realize that was happening. And so like last week, I just kind of was like, what am I doing? Why did I say yes to all these things? And one of the things that I think about, like what I really do strive to do, and I have a podcast all about it, but is to really stay close to my Heavenly Father and the Savior, and to try to figure out if I am doing their will, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and I think that whether you believe in God or not, you have that, and you have that voice inside you where you know that things maybe are out of whack and
Yeah.
that you need to say no, and it's okay. Like I think it's okay to feel out of balance. I think that's one of the gifts that we've been given, is that it's because that's kind of our warning system. So it's okay
Yeah.
to be out of balance, because then we can check ourselves and say, okay, take a step back. Like, what is it that I really need to be doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
And And then you're okay. So I was out of balance. I was completely out of balance this last week and a half because I didn't take into account that I wasn't feeling well and that I was going to need extra time for myself. And that's okay. Like I know, like I had people, that were worried about me and that, they're like, okay, maybe you need to just stop your business or, stop these different things and and the answer was maybe yeah for a minute, but I really took this weekend to be fasting and praying over like because one of my the most important thing to me is being a mom and making sure I'm
Mm-hmm.
here and I'm the best person I can be as a mom. And so I wasn't last week because I was tired. I wasn't feeling good. And
Right.
so I just, I checked in and I, evaluated the things that I'm doing and saying and the time I'm spending like on my business or with my kids and making sure that it's the best type. And so as far as balance goes, that was a long answer. I just think that I just think that we have to be really in tune
Yeah.
with what we're supposed to do, and then God will magnify our efforts. If I'm supposed to
Mm-hmm.
help women build businesses, which was my answer, I said, because I have women come to me all the time, and this is why I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, is I have women that are like, I just feel like I have this message, I have this product that I need to get out, and I don't know how. And so I know how, right? I
Yeah.
know there
Yeah.
are like 5 pillars of things that you have to do, right? You have to have a blog, you have to have email marketing, you have to be social media, you have to be on search engines like Pinterest and YouTube, and you have to know photography. And so I have 3 courses that cover those 5, and then I'm working on a couple more. And then I can help these ladies along to
Yeah.
to put their light out there, because that voice that they're hearing is important and it needs to get out there, and they'll be happier when they start creating and start sharing with the world. And that's why I love living right now, right? Because
Yeah.
you can get out there, you can share your voice, and there's a way to do it that's free, and I can be with my kids and still sharing goodness
Yeah.
with the world.
I love that. And I forgot to, I totally neglected to tell people about your podcast. I said that I was on it and it was before your rebrand, but it's the Women with Fire podcast and it's amazing. So after listening to this one, jump over to that one. It's amazing and you will not regret it. It is so, so fantastic. And you've done such a great
Oh,
job of
thank
cultivating that message and just bringing so many uplifting women on there and just sharing their stories and creating another space for inspiration for people who need it. So I love that. And I think that's a great answer. It was a long version, but I think it needed to be because it's not a question you can answer simply. Like if people are going to give you, I feel like they're lying if they're selling you this perfect equation for balance in your life
you.
because it looks so different for every person and you have to be in tune with who you are. And I love this, like my mentor kind of taught me calling it shame or calling it guilt. Shame is when you feel bad because of what other people's expectations are or these unrealistic expectations of what it should look like. And guilt is where it's the little reminder that you could be doing more. You could be spending more time with your kids. For me, it's like, I know that I can easily spend 20 minutes a day making sure my kids have reading time with me. And
Yeah.
guilt is going to remind me that that is important to me and it's important to them. Shame is going to be, oh my gosh, all the other parents are better than me and they all have time to read for an
Yeah.
hour a day with their kids. So it's just listening to that inner compass of knowing, and there's a lot of guilt you have to get through too. The actual guilt or the shame of saying, it's not okay for you to have a business from home, Michelle. You shouldn't be doing both things. You need to just be a full-time. You have 5 kids for crying out loud. What are you thinking trying to do more? And that is what the world or different people's opinions will put on you. But you have had to say, well, this is something I feel called to do. And if God is telling me that I'm going to do this and that this is important and that I have these gifts and talents to share, then I know that if I'm putting forth my effort, He's going to make that possible. And your responsibility too is to still stay in tune with your children and not walking faster than you can and not taking on too much because your body will remind you. Look, even physically, Michelle, it's time to slow down. Like you're trying to build an entire empire in like 1 week and you can't do that. So I think that's a great answer. And I love
Yep.
you for
We
all of
just
that.
have to we have to just give ourselves space to grow and to figure it out. And there's going to be out of balance time. So, and I
Yep.
am with you. Like guilt's fine. Like guilt is totally fine. Shame is not, but guilt is
Yep.
fine. It's just a little reminder.
Yeah, exactly. So listen to the guilt, but not the shame. We'll do more episodes on that because I think that's a really, really important thing for moms to start to differentiate. I think it's a rut that a lot of people fall into. And I'm actually creating something to kind of help you be aware of that and to figure out how you can move through those challenges. So stay tuned for that. I'm glad we went
Yes.
that direction.
Yes. Always.
Well, I love you, Michelle. And where can everybody find you on social media?
You can find me at I am Michelle Gifford on Instagram, and that's my website too. I have a great free branding course if you want to come take that. And then you can find my other podcast. No, you can find my podcast. I only have really one at The Women with Fire on Instagram or on iTunes. Come listen. It's super inspiring. You can listen to Kirsten. It's so good.
Yes. That's probably the best episode. I'm just kidding. Oh,
Ever.
I'm so kidding. If you want to hear lots and lots of giggling, that is the best episode to listen to, I guess. Well, okay, famous last question for all the guests on my show. I haven't asked this question in a long time. What makes you a marvelous mom?
I think I'm a marvelous mom because I'm pretty okay that I'm not perfect. And I think that means that for me, that means that a lot of times my house is a mess, but my kids are happy. And sometimes my house is a mess and my kids aren't happy, and that's okay too. But I really do try to see this as a journey for what it is, and an opportunity for me to get better and to stay in tune with my Heavenly Father and make sure that I'm teaching my kids to do the same and it's okay that it's not perfect. So maybe that's it. Is that good?
Is that good? Yes, your answers are never good or bad or wrong or right. That was a beautiful answer. And I thank you for sharing that. And I totally agree with you 100%. Well, thanks for hanging out with me on my show. You've been fabulous. And this was so worth the wait. So thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. This is a party.
We'll do it anytime. We'll do it on all my podcasts. We'll just keep creating podcasts so we have reasons to interview each other. I think that would be the best use of our time, right?
Okay. Yep. I'm in. Sign me up.
Game over. Okay, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you on the next episode.